Hey everybody, I'm going to talk to you again about the StoryMaster's Tales Weirding Woods, which I did a video on, which I will link either above or below or somewhere on the screen, to the original unboxing and review of this game. But the reason why I'm talking about it again is because there's been an expansion. So this is the Weirding Woods by Oliver McNeil, and then there is an expansion for it out now, which is called Deeper into the Woods. And I'll go through what comes in the pack. So I'll run over quickly what the original game was. So the original game was it's a card-based RPG, almost fighting fantasy-esque, bit of card play. You navigate around the world using cards. There was collecting loot, there was completing quests, and it's all done by reading passages from the original book. So in here you'd have, locations you may end up, such as there we go, there's one there called the Spider Queen, and on the right hand side you would read what the encounter was, what maybe options you might have had when you got there, and who knows what might have come out. And there was many ways you could have chosen your option. You could have chosen it just by choosing once the story masters read out the various passages. You could have rolled a dice. You could have played your fortune, of which there is a limited amount. You can only be so lucky for so long, and if you'd rolled your fortune, you may or may not have been lucky. So yeah, lots of cool things. You essentially navigated around the board. I have kind of a layout here on the table. So this is the starting area. You've got the crow's nest inn and the trader. You would start on, say, the crow's nest. Focus is going in there. Well, no mind. You'd start here, and then you may choose to go north, and you'd lay a card. You'd move your character north. Once everyone's moved, you would flip the card, find out where you end up. So here, for instance, I'm at the stone circle. I then quickly flip to the area in the book for the stone circle, and they're all numbered, so very easy to find. And I would read the passage, and I would do what it said. And you can add your own play to it. It's just really nice for people that want to get into sort of RPGs or role-playing games and don't quite necessarily know how to do it. Have all the story, make it up as you go. Playing it with younger children maybe that aren't always know what they could or couldn't do in a scenario, even though they could do anything they like. So by giving them choices, they're able to choose things. And I've played this with them as young as 4-year-old. 4-year-old can understand everything that I've said, and they often pick the craziest and wackiest options, and with my older children as well. And there's no reason why you couldn't play this from 4 to 100. So yeah, that's the main game. Now there is another much more in-depth video you can read about that. Watch that, and I will link it so you can do so. So what comes in the expansion? First of all, new book. So Deeper into the Weirding Woods. And this, as you can see on here, has pages 51 to 65. So this is 1 to 50, and this is 51 to 65. So another 14 pages there of encounters. 15 pages, sorry, of encounters. I don't know why I said 14. Another 15 pages of encounters. So you can expand your map deck, which is essentially this deck here, with another 15 cards. Now the book does say you could remove 15 cards away from this deck, or just add them in, depending on whether you wanted a longer or a shorter game. It also talks about stacking the deck. So one of the things I spoke about in the previous video was that, let's say your objective was to find, I don't know, let's find it here. There we go, the Scarlet Sorcerer. So let's say you turn the Scarlet Sorcerer over, and it's like the third card in the deck. You've hardly moved anywhere. You're unlikely going to be powerful enough to defeat it, so you're going to want to run away, get some more power, come back, but at least you know where to find it. Now, if you're going to add the expansion in, you could either go from 50 cards to 65, or you may choose to remove 15 of them and keep it at the 50. Entirely up to you. Or stack the deck so that you know the card that your party's looking for, you as the story master, the card that your party's looking for is somewhere near the bottom, so they don't find it straight away. Entirely up to you, and that's what I love about the system. It's very open. So there we go. So yeah, this is 15 more pages of Deeper into the Woods, new scenarios, and I don't want to show too much of it, but great artwork as before, great options. I really enjoy reading this stuff. A lot of love and care has gone into making this what it is. So that's the book. You then got some new characters. So In the original game, I shouldn't say the old game, the original game, you had a rogue, a royal, a monk, a pirate, a thief, a red-capped soldier, huntsman, witch, and wizard that your players could pick from. And now they have access to wise woman, gentleman, bard, lost children, which looks very much like a Hansel and Gretel type scenario. So new characters, and of course new characters means new unique abilities for those characters, new backstories, which you can read and have a lot of fun with. Then of course you get the 15 cards, and these are the map cards. So again, great artwork, the black and white style, very akin to the fighting fantasy books of old. A whole bunch of new items. So again, the rules will say you can either just add these straight into your deck, or take some items out and put these ones in, or just add them all in as they are. It even talks about potentially, because we're moving into a bit more advanced rules now, so you can jazz, if you have the original game, this can jazz it up a little bit. You could even put certain loot with certain locations. So if you know you're going to fight some monsters in here, maybe there's a druid staff there. So I've just seen that one of the pages is druid. So maybe when you defeat the druid, you get, rather than picking randomly from the deck, you actually get the druid staff. Totally up to the games master to do that. You get some more character sheets, which is great. Going through these, I actually laminated a few of them from the original set so that we can write and wipe them off again. But having more of them is no bad thing. There's also a lovely pouch. So the original game come in this black pouch, put all your cards and everything in, and then there's a nice green one for the expansion. And then there's 2 dice. So in the previous game, in the original, I keep saying previous, but it is the original game, you had 2d4s. And then in the new game, the new expansion, you've got 2d6s. And that's because I think there was a bit of feedback that, combat, and also I'm not a big fan of rolling d4s, I must admit. They don't feel nice to roll, just my personal preference. A couple of d6s makes for a nicer rolling experience. Oh, it's a 7. And also you could make combat a bit more interesting with d6s, still adding things like the weapons you're holding or abilities you might have, but rolling d6s for battle, probably a bit nicer. It also talks about critting on a 6 and then a critical failure on a 1. So a critical hit would mean you would double your damage. A critical 1, I think, says you only do 1 damage, or maybe do none. One of those 2 things. Let me have a... I don't want to look at it right now, but it was definitely... yeah, it does 1 damage. There you go. So it just does a 1 damage, no matter how much you've rolled. Yeah, so... what else could I say about this? Apart from it's a super cool game. I will do an actual Let's Play of it, so you can see the experience is like. But trust me, that expansion I think is £15, which is well worth it for everything you're getting in the box. I can't remember what the original game cost, but I don't think it's more than, say, £30. And there is many, 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 many hours of fun in this game. You quickly end up building, a pretty cool map of locations that you can go to, as you travel around the map. And now you're going to be adding these expansion cards in as well, so you're going to end up with a pretty cool looking place. You can travel around with your friends, so now there's 2 or 3 of you out there. You're adventuring, you're fighting monsters, you're having interesting interactions with all sorts of creatures and just locations. You're letting fate choose what might happen to you or your fortune. You're having cool combat fights with people and to see whether you can win. It's just a really fun game. It all comes in a box that you can travel away with no problem whatsoever. So a great travel game. And there you go. I'm not sure I can say much else about it apart from my family absolutely loves it. It's a great game and I highly recommend you check it out. Okay. No, I don't think I've left anything out. I think I've covered it. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. If you want to see a Let's Play, let me know and we'll do that. But otherwise, I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye. I now have to walk over and press a button. I really should get a remote button. Bye!